Hello world, welcome back to Geek Movie News. Now apologies for those who don't know, last week I had a sinus infection, kept me in bed basically the whole week, so there was no show last week. Because of that, this week you're going to get 2 episodes of Geek Movie News, and Geek TV News will be a blog over on my Tumblr page, which obviously there's a link to down in the description box below. Go out there and check what's going on in the world of Geek TV News. But Geek Movie News, let's start off with some DC Comics films. Now first off, some news about the upcoming Justice League film and the impact it might have on the future of the Batman franchise. Now everyone knows that Nolan's Batman trilogy was left sort of open to interpretation and to possible follow-up, but it is more than likely that Warner Bros. Are going to reboot the franchise at some point in the near future. I mean, hell, Batman is the only actual superhero they seem to know how to market for movies and television, so why not have some more movies coming out? First off though, we have Justice League. Now it was announced that Justice League will only be actually made if Man of Steel, the new Superman movie, makes a lot of money at the box office, which obviously we are all hoping it does and that it's a fantastic movie to boot. But the film does look in danger of not actually coming out in 2015 as projected by Warner Bros. And DC. Reason for that? Once again, the script that was handed over to Warner Bros. Executives has been rejected as not good enough to be made into a feature film. Now, the problem with this and how it will affect the Batman franchise, well, if the Justice League movie is bad, and God, please don't make that bad, then it will affect the money that any potential Batman reboots will make, according to Warner Bros. So they want to have a perfect script, especially along the sort of Batman character being awesome in it. Also, the fact that that is being pushed back and the new Batman movie will probably not come out until after Justice League means that it could be quite some time before we get a new Dark Knight on the big screen. Now, Justice League is a big project for Warner Bros. Obviously, they've seen how well Marvel's done with Avengers. They want to do it right. But by pussyfooting around the Batman character, who everybody knows is well established and everyone has a liking for, as the numbers for the last 3 movies shows, is stupid. You know how to work Batman, Warner Bros. Keep it as is and focus some attention on maybe Wonder Woman and Flash and Green Lantern. That's what we want to see. Some sad news for fans of Lobo and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, as it seems that The Rock is no longer attached to appear as the intergalactic bounty hunter from the DC Comics. Now, the film, which was revived last April, would have seen The Rock and Brad Peyton, the director of Journey 2, which obviously The Rock starred in, reuniting. But unfortunately, The Rock has said, basically, as time's gone by, he's signed on for other projects, he's busy, he won't be able to make this movie. Very sad. I think he would have been a fantastic Lobo, a brilliant character, one that is very underrated by people who don't know a great deal about comic books, and you should all go and check him out. But this movie is still going to go ahead. Let's hope they can get a fantastic new lead actor ASAP. Guillermo del Toro has been talking this week about Dark Universe, his DC Comics movie featuring some of the mystical characters from the DC Universe. And he's basically going on about how much he loves these characters and how he wants to do the origins of each of the characters properly. Now, characters he's been talking about are people like Jason Blood, turning into Etrigan, for those who don't know, Swamp Thing, John Constantine. Now, there are just 3 of the names that have been thrown out there, but there's also characters like Deadman and Zatanna that could also be featured in this movie. Although I would really like to see fantastic origin stories for all of these characters who are brilliant and much underutilised by both DC Comics and Warner Bros., their owners, I think they may struggle to do origin stories for all of them in one movie. It might be better if they're going to throw this movie out there to do what they're going to do with Justice League. Put it together, bring the team together, and then do actual origin spin-off movies to explain how Alec Holland became Swamp Thing, etc, etc. Still an exciting prospect, still looking forward to see it, and you know, it's Guillermo del Toro, the man's got skills. Hot on the heels of Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters hitting the big screen, director Tommy Wirkola is wanting to return to his comedy horror franchise Dead Snow for a sequel. The second movie, titled Dead Snow War of the Dead, will follow the lone survivor from the first movie going through a much bigger horde of Nazi zombies with the help of a special zombie squad of American soldiers. Sounds like a really interesting prospect. If you haven't seen the first movie, it is both gory and very, very funny at the same time. Definitely worth looking at. And let's hope that this one can get just as funny, just as good, and just as quick onto the big screen. It's been 7 years since we've heard anything from Pixar about a Finding Nemo 2. That is, until this week. Now, Pixar have announced, firstly, that the original director, Andrew Stanton, will be returning to direct the sequel, and that also the original voice actor of Nemo's father, Albert Brooks, has also signed on. Now, this is fantastic news. There's no news on the plot yet, and no news on any other returning cast members, but this is a good start. We all love you, Pixar. You make some of our most favourite movies of all time. Finding Nemo is a stone cold classic. Make this one fantastic, please. I spoke 2 weeks ago about Disney and Brad Bird's project Tomorrowland, a movie that is named after an attraction in one of the Disneyland parks in the United States. And that very little is known about the film. But Hugh Laurie is now in negotiations to play the main villain of the piece. Apparently negotiations are ongoing, but it is a very likely story to see Hugh Laurie in this movie, which is being described as a modern day science fiction epic in the mould of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Sounds interesting. So Anchorman The Legend continues casting news this week, as it seems James Marsden, most famous for playing the role of Cyclops in the X-Men movies, has been cast as Will Ferrell's character Ron Burgundy's rival at the News Network. Now, this is good casting for me. He's shown that he is a serious actor in roles such as his role in the X-Men movies, but also that he has a brilliant comedy pedigree from his time working on 30 Rock. So this could be a really good acquisition for the movie. Very little is known still about the actual screenplay, and I think that's a good thing. I want this to be a surprise, and I want this to be fantastic, because as you all know, I love Anchorman. Universal Pictures seems to be in a hurry to get their Mummy reboot on the big screen. Now, as I announced a couple of weeks back, they've got Len Wiseman penned in to direct the movie, but they now have two competing screenwriters working on screenplays. John Spates, who was already attached to write the screenplay, is writing one, while Billy Ray, the writer of the Hunger Games screenplay, is also writing a script. Universal basically want a quick script, get it into production, and get this movie into cinemas in 2014. And when you look at the amount of money the Mummy films made, it's completely understandable why they want to rush it out. Star Wars news, and it seems that there are going to be two returning stars to the Star Wars franchise. Firstly, Harrison Ford. Seems it's going to be a done deal. Mentioned that he was in negotiations. This is fantastic. Everyone wants to see Han Solo, even if he's not the main character. We want to see him in these movies. He's a really important character to the universe. But also, Disney are in negotiations with Mark Hamill to return as Luke Skywalker. Now, Skywalker, if you've read any of the extended fiction, he has to be in this movie. He has to be. He has to be very, very important to it. And so does his family. If we are going to explore a world where there are Jedi again after the fall of the Empire, we have to have Luke Skywalker. We have to have some sort of iteration of a family. Please have Mara Jade. Please have his children. And it has to be the basis of the movie. I mean, all of the Star Wars movies are about the Skywalkers. It's got to continue. Right, guys? Okay guys, thanks for watching. Down there is the like button, you click on that if you like this, let me know. Also down in the description box below is a link to my Facebook, my Twitter and my Tumblr where this week's Geek TV news can be found. Also down there is the comment box, leave a comment, let me know what you thought. If you missed the last episode of Geek Movie News, there's a link there, you can pop out and watch that. Once it's ready, there's also a link there to the second part of this week's Geek Movie News, watch that as well. Get all up to date on what's going on in the world of your favourite geek movies. And until next time, au revoir.